Hi there all, Jonathan here, coming to you from the lands of the Jagera and Turrbal people, lands never ceded. There's been a lot of talk in this theme about purpose and meaning, and that makes sense, because having some ideas about these things can be an important ingredient in working out the S word for you, your spirituality. But, and hear me out here, maybe we've missed out a crucial bit. How do you actually discover what your purpose might be, if you can just go and buy one off aisle 28 at IKEA? I mean, even if you have a bit of an idea, listening to our IV experts might help focus things a bit. Is there a process for doing it, discovering our purpose? You know, drive up the ramp, stop next to the speaker, order your purpose happy meal, upsize with some large serve meaning, etc., etc. Let's see, that could be it, even if I'm just foreshadowing some stuff in this ep about buying things. I'm so subtle. Anyway, you'll have to watch to prove me wrong. Okay, take a breath. Just to focus us, this.
How do you discover your purpose? Is there a way?
I think there is a way. I don't necessarily think it's easy to find your purpose, but I think you can discover ways of exploring it. A good way I would think about is, if you're struggling to find what your purpose is, think back to when you were a child. What did you love to do? What did you dream about doing? I bizarrely wanted to be a dentist, which I obviously am now not. But you know, the heart of wanting to do that was actually to care for people and to support them in difficult times. That was the root of, I think, what I was hoping to achieve. Not necessarily through dental work, but found it in other ways. And I think it is often looking back, and if you're not sure, ask a friend, ask somebody. You could journal about it, dream about what you could do. What would your passion project be? What is something that excites you? Often your purpose will be found in something that really lights you up, whether it could be homelessness or wanting to help with food insecurity, or it could be charitable things. What are those things that you can't get past, that are the real root and the essence of who you are?
I think the best way to find your purpose in life is within community. Whether that's being a teacher in a school or a nurse in a hospital, there's something about being amongst a community of some kind, whether that's a small group in a small business at a local shops, for example, or at a big hospital, school, those sorts of large things, or even a bigger purpose like, say, a politician representing a city or a state. There's something about community in all of those different settings, and even, I would say, even in a family unit, whether a husband, wife, wife, husband, parent, child, those relationships help us to discover what is important to us, and help us to discover meaning in our lives. And that comes down to doing something for others, doing something with others, and doing something that contributes to the betterment of our communities.
I think the way that a person might discover purpose is what is life-giving for you and what is life-giving for others. However, if I think of my own purpose, I have only discovered who I am and what I am here for, or parts of what I am here for, through communion with others. Only through relationship with others and with being listened to and recognised and heard and seen and believed have I discovered what my purpose is. And so I guess the way that one might help someone to discover purpose would be to listen to and hear and see and believe that other person.
There's a few things. One is to listen to your heart and follow your gut. But also, I think, we have to jump into life with both feet and give stuff a try. And I think the stories of the great figures in history who have made huge contributions, they're stories of people who've tried a whole lot of different stuff before they've landed in that space where they have clarity about who they are and what they're called to do and to be. But I think you only arrive at that place if you do what you love and follow your heart. The bother with that is you're going to get your heart broken regularly, and that's difficult. But I don't know that there's another way to work that stuff out.
Jeremy, yes, that's so true. Heartbreak, sure, because you might have to put yourself out there a little. This probably won't all just happen. It could be work. But as Charlie XCX once said, for good new things to happen, there's going to have to be some pain. But it's worth it, right? Oh, and just to come clean, I don't think Charlie said that. Well, not recently. Yeah, just to set Liz up, I've got to be the straight man and say the question again in a subtle way to help out, which is just how I roll. Here goes. How do you discover your purpose? Is there a way?
Yes. Do I know where it is? I think in order to discover your purpose, or for one to discover their purpose, we have to be open to vulnerability. If we're not open to vulnerability, then we're not going to be able to do that work. So we need to be able to have a safe space to do that. I think it would be best done with someone. So having a companion or a community whose values align with your values, but it requires vulnerability and a willingness to go to those harder, darker places in order to find the light.
Ah, but wait, there's good news here.
If you're even asking that question, I think you're probably already on the path to seeking purpose. The main thing that I think, if you're starting to grapple with those sorts of questions, is to go in with an open mind, with a listening ear, and just being patient with yourself as you try to grapple with all of those questions.
I actually think it's quite difficult, and because purpose is not something that kind of, comes with you when you're born. You kind of have to discover it at some point along the way. And I would probably say that, every version or genre of human beings across history has in one way or another struggled with this question about what is my purpose. And I think that question of purpose is closely related to the question of desire. It's maybe even the same question about what ultimately do I want out of life, out of myself, out of others. And in our current context, which I'll name as sort of the 21st century Western capitalist context, I think this question has a particular kind of difficulty because the question, what do I want, so immediately turns into the question, what do I want to buy? And so the question of purpose becomes essentially, how do I get money? And it's very difficult for any of us today to actually extricate ourselves from that movement and to learn how to actually cultivate purpose and desire that's not simply reducible to that pursuit of money, essentially. And here it's where I think actually spirituality comes in to play a kind of critical role. I mean, one way you could talk about spirituality is as a set of practices or a set of purposes or a set of pursuits that aim to kind of open up spaces of desire that don't simply reduce to that question of what do I want to buy and how do I get more money. So one way to talk about spirituality is that it's about finding desire and finding spaces of enjoyment that are actually about magnifying enjoyment with less rather than with the sort of excesses of more.
I think you have to have a go at things. Having a go at things and trying things out and seeing how that fulfills a need in you or fulfills your sense of purpose and meaning. Musicians do it, artists do it. They have a go at the things that they're really gifted at, and when that works, they might get a response from an audience or a response from within themselves. There's a sense of rightness about it. I look at my sister-in-law's life and I go, here's someone who knows her purpose because she believes in the value of team sport. And that belief has translated itself into her being a coach and a manager of netball teams. She doesn't do it as a career, but she does it with her spare time because she believes in the importance of it and she sees the value that she's adding to the lives of other people. And it's just seems to me that she's discovered that and then gone out and acted on it. In order to discover it, you've got to have a go. Have a go at the thing that you believe in, that you can add value to the world. And with that, if that sense of rightness and meaning comes along with it, then you've hit the nail on the head. You've found the thing that gives meaning to your life. And it's not the same for everyone. You've got to have a go at it.
Okay, have a go at it. Tick. In a safe and secure place? Tick. With other people who can affirm you and give advice? Tick. Expecting it might not happen straight away? Tick. And to persevere? Tick. And avoid getting tricked into thinking purpose can be satisfied by buying more stuff, like, say, records? Almost tick. There's a lot to think about in this app, but so much great stuff to think and feel over. This time, we ask people a generic question about discovering purpose, but next step we get our Ivy experts to tell you the stories of how they actually worked out their own life purposes. It's a cracker. Stay tuned, which is a thing I've always wanted to say.